Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. I hope you guys are all having a great week and looking forward to seeing Newcastle United play their final game of 2022 against Leeds tomorrow. 3 PM kickoff at St James's Park. I will be there. Cannot wait to see the lads back in action at home in the Premier League for the first time in a while, and hoping to see us cap off what has been a fantastic 2022 with a win. I know we say it a lot, but what a year it has been for Newcastle United. From bottom three to top three in a year. It's been pretty good. We saw Newcastle return to the Premier League with a win against Leicester on Boxing Day, 3-0. We're hoping to keep that going into this game and throughout the rest of the season and beyond. But we will be talking specifically about this game against Leeds. It's also on New Year's Eve. So, as I say, a nice win to go into the end of the year, celebrate with a few drinks later on, I'm sure. And in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about what we hope to see from Newcastle in this game, what we can potentially expect to see from Leeds in this game as well. We cannot, go into this sleepwalking or with our eyes closed. They are going to come up here. I've no doubt the Leeds fans will be up here hoping to enjoy their Christmas Eve in Newcastle City Centre as well. So it's going to be, I think, high tempo, very, very tough game for both sides. And I'm hoping it's going to be a good watch as well. And then we'll get into a little bit about what Eddie Howe said in his press conference this morning ahead of the game. We've got some updates, specifically around Callum Wilson and ISAK. So we'll talk about them in a moment. And then, as always, we will get into lineups and predictions. So let me know your predictions for the game down in the comments below. To start things off, Newcastle, what do we want to see from Newcastle in this game? To be fair, what we've seen all throughout this season so far, it's been a cracking one, and yes, it's going to be a tough game, but we're riding a high. We want to keep it going. I think what we saw in the Leicester game that didn't take me by surprise because we keep doing it, but away against Leicester, it's going to be tough. You expect the home side to be the team who come out quick, get amongst it. We were out the blocks fast, and that's something that Eddie Howe talks about very often, is the press, the pressure, get into them quick. We scored 2 goals in 7 minutes against Leicester, and I'm not saying that we're going to do that every game. You're not always going to score a goal within 2 minutes, but we need to get out there from the first whistle and really push into them. Leeds themselves are a good watch generally, which is why I'm hoping this will be a good watch as well. They are another team who are high press. They, I think, have one of the best stats on tackles and turnovers in the final third. So it's 2 teams here who will go for it. What we could potentially also see from Leeds is they have one of the highest foul rates in the Premier League. And you actually think back to the Leicester game on Boxing Day when things weren't really going Leicester's way. They did start to nibble a little bit at us and kick out a little bit. Could potentially see a little bit of that as well from Leeds, depending on how the game goes. But generally speaking, since Leeds came up to the Premier League, they've been exciting to watch. They score goals, they do concede quite a few goals as well, and for us who like to press, like to score right now, I'm hoping it's going to be a good clash. In terms of Leeds' lineup, obviously we saw them let go of some quite important players in the summer. You talk about Rafinha and Phillips, who obviously went to Man City, but they've had players who have stepped into their places. Rodrigo has looked really good, although there is some injury question marks around him and some other Leeds players. But players like Harrison, Adams are obviously going to come up here hoping to try and take some points home. In terms of Eddie Howe and Newcastle, well, Eddie Howe did his press conference this morning. Just looking at my notes here. One of the big things he spoke about was Wilson and ISAK. Now, Wilson was unavailable in the last game due to illness. I think he'll be back. I think Wilson will be back for this one. It's understood there will be a late fitness test. It's obviously an illness, not an injury, but a late fitness test on him in training as to whether he will play tomorrow. I expect him to play. You could say, really, that we beat Leicester 3-0 with Chris Wood up front. Does he deserve to keep his place? Maybe. I would bring Wilson back in. And he also gave an update on ISAK. Good news. It's understood that he is very close to returning. Now, I think that the game tomorrow against Leeds will be too soon, but Eddie Howe hopes that it will be January. Considering the amount of money we spent on him coming in, we saw him score some fantastic goals, some that were disallowed, but we saw him have a great start-up for Newcastle. Really want to bring him back in as quickly as possible. And while on the conversation of injuries, Jonjo Shelvey was mentioned as well. Obviously has now been ruled out for 6 to 8 weeks further after having previously missed the majority of the season with injury. And there's this talk on the fact that he only has to play 2 more games to get an extra 1-year extension. That has created some conversation as to whether, if he is going to have that injury trouble for another season, is that extension something we want to see? Or can he overcome this injury and come back and be great? You don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But on the topic of that, Eddie Howe has asked about transfers. And will the Jonjo Shelvey injury now change the plans? Is that something we want to look at to go into that centre midfield market to bring in a replacement? Eddie Howe said that it is certainly something that we are going to look at, but with no immediate decision. So Eddie Howe basically doing Eddie Howe and somehow saying yes and no in a sentence. But he's not going to come out and go, yes, we are desperate for a midfielder, because you know what happens then? All the prices of all the midfielders are suddenly way more expensive. So it's Eddie Howe. But Eddie was also, and I don't necessarily like talking about FFP because, you know, when some teams are going out and spending whatever they like and we are quoting FFP. He said unlimited budget, but that they need to hold off if they don't want to interrupt future transfer windows. You look at Chelsea spending a lot of money. The difference is that Chelsea and Manchester United and these teams have got huge revenue commercials that Newcastle are trying to work towards, but just don't have it yet. And if we could, in theory, I believe, go out and spend 500, 800 million this summer because we haven't spent any in so many years. But doing so could hamper us in future windows until we start to generate that European football, Champions League football money, more commercial money, and then this FFP, I think, will just slowly move away. But right now, it does still seem to be something that's at the forefront. So good news from Eddie Howe on the ISAK, on the Wilson. Obviously, bad news on the Jonjo, and we'll obviously have to wait and see what happens in this January window. But in terms of this game, I am positive. I am excited. I can't wait to kind of have it's strange because it's New Year's Eve, but to have a Saturday football day, get up in the morning, 12:30 kick-off, meet at the pub, go to the game, try not to drink too much because I need to keep drinking till the New Year's Eve as well, but I'm sure it'll be a fun day, hopefully, providing we can get a result. But in terms of lineups, we do this all the time. I think it's going to be the same as I always say. Botman goal, Trippier, Shaw, Botman, Burn. The best defence in the Premier League. Question marks around whether Dan Burn's a left back or not. I don't really mind when we have the best record. Question marks over whether that's a position we should look for this window. If Burn's playing well and targets a good backup, it suits me fine. Would love to see Botman maybe get his goal this weekend. I think he's certainly due one. Questions over who's been, the best signing for Newcastle. Bruno's obviously up there, but I think what Botman has done to that defence has been surreal, to be honest. So good. Moving into midfield, we've got, I imagine, Bruno, Willock, Longstaff again, the middle three. Willock got a little bit of, not stick, I think because we played so well against Leicester and everybody was so good. Nitpicking a little bit to say that Willock didn't have the greatest game. Sometimes takes a little bit of time to get into games. Could we potentially see Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton That would then allow the front three to be Maxi, Wilson, Almiron, or would you stick with the Willock? I think in a game against Leeds, who are going to be aggressive, who are going to be quick, who are going to be on the move, I think someone like Willock's energy could actually suit this game quite well. And then also, if Leeds are piling forward, having someone like Joe Linton who will track back could also be quite handy. And then have Maxi come on later in the game. Maybe if we're 1-0 up or 2 and Leeds are stretched and are moving the ball quick, then having Maxi going the other way could be a good fit. But generally speaking, it's just a couple of names here and there over who it could be. Obviously, I've mentioned Callum Wilson earlier on. Does Chris Wood deserve to keep his place? You know, he gets stick, and I know it was a pen, but he scored and he won this part of the team. You play your best players. If Wilson's fit, he plays. We'll have to see what comes out from that one. And in terms of a prediction for me, I'm gonna go 2-0. I'm gonna say that despite the fact that Leeds will push and will attack, and I think will be an entertaining game, I think we'll hold them out. And I could see us maybe potentially doing what we've done in a lot of games. Maybe go up in this game 1-0 at half time, maybe 2-0 early second half, and then just keep the ball. And that's something that I'm also very impressed by. It's great that we go out and score, but it's also just as impressive to hold and contain the ball. Let me know your predictions down below. I am not by any means thinking this is going to be an easy game. I think it will be tough. I think Leeds will be up for it. And as I've said, I think two teams who attack and press, it's setting itself up for what could be an entertaining one. Who knows? 3-3. I want to see loads of goals. And as I say, I will be there. I'll have all the reactions, all the vlogs. So if you're not subscribed, hit the button and be sure to look out for them. All right, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the lineups, the January window, if you like, and your predictions down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.